We'd like to welcome you to the BlackUSA.News Morning Show. My name is Donnie Glover, and I will be your host. We're supposed to be speaking with Wyndal Gordon today, but meanwhile, we can cover some other news that is going on. I hope that you're taking it easy out here in this heat. It's going to be 100 degrees today. Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. Drink plenty of water. Get your coffee in early. That was Wyndal. He should be coming in shortly. But take it easy in this heat. There's a lot of conflicts out here. A lot of people, as the police commissioner said yesterday on the news, a lot of people just dealing with conflict with guns. And boy, if it doesn't take me back to zero tolerance, I mean, with zero tolerance, I said it yesterday, zero tolerance was all the way over here. Now this consent decree done shifted everything all the way over there. So the pendulum probably has to be somewhere in the middle. You know, it has to be an even balance. I think ever since Freddie Gray and the police being charged really changed things, particularly with the consent decree. I've heard the brother Ray, what's Ray's last name? Brother Ray on the consent decree panel suggests it will take time. We don't have time. We don't have time to, we're not afforded time. The way I see it, Black people have been left to kill each other off so that gentrification can take place. I mean, that's just what I see. I don't know any other way to put it. So meanwhile, you know, those of us who love this community, we have to begin to, you know, take charge of it. We have to start talking to our young people. We have to start getting involved and making sure that those that want to be saved can be saved. You know, I look at Baltimore City Public Schools. Fox has been wearing out Baltimore City Public School headquarters. But, you know, although many of us have our issues with Fox, no one else is asking the question. No one else is asking about accountability. Something's fundamentally wrong in this city. Something is fundamentally wrong. It seems as though corruption is the modus operandi du jour. Everybody's corrupt. We have too many Black people in prominent positions, the mayor, city council president, the comptroller, for things not to be happening for Black people. I understand that a lot of money is going to be coming to the community. And heck, we got challenges bringing the communities together. So again, as Officer Chuck Lee said, it's about accountability on all levels. So we're going to keep it moving. We have some wonderful evening shows. A lot of people have taken a break. We did Sister Biz last night, had 3 phenomenal business women on. I sat in, Tamara Brown and Nicole Orr were taking a break. But I tell you, last night's show was so refreshing just to see these 3 women who otherwise, you know, they just have this stick-to-itiveness, this consistency, this determination to be successful. And so here's a message to my entrepreneurs and students and people on the rise. Nobody said it's going to be easy. The road is going to have many challenges, and it's probably not going to be a straight line. Life is sometimes a zigzag. The way I look at it, life is like boxing. It's a lot of bobbing and weaving, you know. You want to avoid conflicts. You want to avoid being bitter. Many people have been scarred. Super professionals, as well as the man on the street, the woman on the street. Everybody's dealing with all kinds of challenges, and COVID does not make it any better. COVID, as I heard a young man say, I've mentioned this before, he was about 18 years old. He said, COVID is God's way of sending everybody to their room. Why? So we can think about what we're doing, think about the decisions that we have been making. And hopefully we will emerge as better human beings. A lot of people are concerned about the variant A lot of people have not gotten the shot. I will never tell you what to do. Me, myself, yeah, I got the shot. I got the shot because I want to travel, and I don't want anybody hemming me up at no airport. I don't like any restrictions. I want to be able to do what I want to do when I want to do it. If I want to get on a plane, and I can't say that I'm thrilled about that, being all cooped up. But the safest thing, as Dr. Zolikoff has said on this very show, is to wear your mask. And if you're not vaccinated, I mean, you should be even more compelled to wear the mask. I saw that one television station last night had a poll up as to whether or not people should be compelled to wear the mask. Yes. Look at Asia. Asia has been dealing with viruses much longer than we. And I remember looking at many clips of the people in Asia as to, like, wow, everybody got on a mask. And this was before COVID. And so when COVID hit, and I find us Americans, we don't like people telling us what to do. Wear the mask. It's not complicated. It's basic. You don't want to get the vaccination? Fine, but wear the mask. To not wear the mask is saying you don't care about your fellow human beings here in America. It's real simple. Wear the mask. Vaccinated or not vaccinated, wear the mask. Why would you want to jeopardize somebody? There are people who are asymptomatic. They don't have any symptoms, but they could be carriers. What's really baffling to me is the science behind children wearing the mask. I think you have to be from 5 years on up, you have to wear the mask. And then going back to school, boy, that's going to be a challenge. So we just got to stay in prayer. We got to stay prayed up. We got to treat our immunity systems well. We got to do well by our bodies and stay healthy and get the vitamins in us and do things that keep us healthy. But most importantly, wear the mask. Good morning, Jay Wyndal Gordon. How are you?
Good morning, friend.
Jay Wyndal, I've been doing some research on you. I know we're going to talk about the Korryn Gaines case today, but I want to go back. How long have you been an attorney?
27 years.
27 years.
Yeah.
And I've known you
since 1995, whatever that math is.
Okay. I've been, so it's 26 years. I've been knowing you, I guess, maybe about 20 years or so. And I've seen you evolve. You went to Howard University Law School?
No, I went to the University of Baltimore. I went to Morgan State University and University of Baltimore and stayed up here.
But you're originally from gorgeous Prince George's County?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
What prompted you to get into law?
Man, law actually called me. I didn't choose law. Law chose me. I didn't. At the time I made the decision, I was 14 years old, and there were no lawyers in my family. I really didn't even know what lawyers did, but something was birthing me at that time to pursue that goal, and that's what I did. Ever since I turned 14, I figured out what I needed to do to become a lawyer, and just did all those things. Stayed out of trouble. Always kind of pushed the envelope to a certain extent. But I managed to stay out of trouble and just pursue my passion. And it's been everything. It's been every bit of what I ever could have imagined it would be. I used to read about lawyers when I was in high school, just about to graduate, when Marion Barry was going through his situation down in D.C. with the cocaine possession or whatever it was, crack possession. And his lawyer was R. Kenneth Mundy. And I used to see R. Kenneth Mundy. I used to always read the Washington Post every day just to see what he said, just to see what was going on with the cases. I would watch TV, watch his press conferences. R. Kenneth Mundy wore hats. And that's something that stuck out to me, that he wore these different hats, and that's what he was known for. But what I really remember him for is just being in front of those microphones. It'd be a swath of microphones in his face, and he would just answer questions. And I was like, wow, that's really what I would like to be. And when I entered law school, I didn't know I would become someone like R. Kenneth Mundy. But like I said, my path was chosen for me. And I guess the reason why I was attracted to all those things as a child upon reflection is because that was me in the future. And that's exactly what I've become.
So you knew you would be going into criminal law, criminal
Well,
defense?
like every other person who went to law school back in my day in the 90s, we always thought we were going to be civil rights attorneys. That's all we went to college to study political science, because they said if you want to be an attorney, you have to study political science, which that's not the case today. You can study anything. And then when you go to law school, we were off the cuff of, Thurgood Marshall, who was still on the Supreme Court bench. So his legacy was still ongoing. So we all kind of pictured ourselves as being a Thurgood Marshall type, not really realizing that his shoes are so big. And I don't know who will fill those shoes in the future. It'll probably be a woman. It'll probably be our lady out at Washington, D.C., who sits on the Court of Appeals now. Her name escapes me right now, but she has a real Afrocentric name. You probably can think of it. But hey, Miss Elaine. But anyway, I can't think of her name right now. But yeah, so criminal law was something I developed a passion for after doing an internship at the state's attorney's office, no doubt. I interned under what's my judge's name who handled the Freddie Gray case? I can't even remember. But anyway, and that's terrible. That's just a sign of getting older. But yeah, I interned at the state's attorney's office, and then I just developed it from there. Ran into Edward Smith Jr., who was like a fixture in Baltimore City, and saw how he operated in the courtroom. And he was the model that was set for me early on, and that I kind of emulated and idolized. So I kind of take a little bit from him, and then I just used to watch the great ones. I used to watch Billy in Court, George Russell, Kenny Ravenel, the names go on, Middleton, Lewin Garrett. I mean, there are many names that I used to just watch in court, and I think I've taken from every one of them.
I've been wanting to ask you this question for years. There was one court case that you were handling a few years back, and you were sitting in a chair, and you turned your chair in a 180.
That's what I do now. That's just me, but that's stuff I've taken from other lawyers. I've just to be comfortable. Like, that's what's most important in the courtroom. You have to be comfortable. So if you swivel in your chair, if you have to be thinking at all times. So you can't think if you're not comfortable. So I just try to make myself at home in the courtroom, and then just whatever I do naturally, let it take hold.
Now you mentioned Thurgood Marshall, and I'm particularly fond of him. Like you, I'm a Cancerian, but Thurgood Marshall was a Cancerian. Did you know that?
I think so, yes.
And we have our own unique way of looking at things. Can you imagine could you imagine meeting Thurgood Marshall?
Posthumously, I hope to. But in this lifetime, no. If I did have the opportunity to meet him, I would probably just stare at his hands. I tend to look at older people's hands, because I'm thinking to myself, okay, these hands have seen everything that the body have seen. They were with him late at night when he's working, when he's writing his briefs, even when he was a kid and he's riding his bicycle or chopping firewood. So I used to look at my grandfather's hands, and he just had these very remarkable hands because they looked strong. They looked like they're full of strength, and he had veins popping out. And I was just thinking, those hands have seen everything that he has seen and touched and felt certain things. So I would probably just look at his hands, and then I would look into his eyes just to see, what's in there. How did he become who he was? Then I just ask a lot of questions. And even to this day, even in the courtroom, I look at people's hands. Are they shaking? Are they nervous? I'm looking at their body parts. What's shaking, what's moving. I'm listening to their voice, their intonations, and that's how I kind of figure out how to maneuver in the courtroom. Am I going to attack? Am I not? What's going on? And if I get you shaking, if I see your hands shaking, it's on. So I'm always looking at people's hands. I don't even know why I'm drawn to that, but that's what I do.
So when it comes to civil rights, although you presumably most of your work is along the lines of criminal defense or Is it criminal defense?
My passion is criminal defense. So if I made a gazillion dollars tomorrow, I'd still be representing that $20 dope boy, that $20 bag dope boy. I mean,
why?
Because that's what I love. I like being the underdog in the courtroom. I like being able to change people's opinions when they get that, you know what I'm saying? Oh, well, maybe this isn't what we thought it was. I like that. I like just making people do an about face and coming over to my side, persuading people, especially if I know I'm sitting on firm foundation. You know, even if I'm not sitting on firm foundation, I like to be able to use that skill to persuade people to come over to where I am.
You stood up for Korryn Kaepernick.
Colin Kaepernick, yeah, that's my frat brother too. But yeah, because I've always been attracted to fighters, Muhammad Ali's, Colin Kaepernick's, Javante Tank Davis, and all of us are flawed in our own little ways. But at the same time, when we stand for something, and maybe not so as much as for Javante Tank Davis, but I'm sure his day will come. Colin Kaepernick, people who are willing to sacrifice and against all odds, you know what I mean, and do something for the greater good as opposed to self-aggrandizement or self-accomplishment. I'm always into people who see the world as a much bigger place when everybody is doing well as opposed to a few. So I believe that Colin Kaepernick was one who, and I can't even imagine this, but he put his entire career on the line. That's like me putting my legal career on the line to stand up for something that I believed in when I knew there was a chance that I would never be a lawyer again. Even though I would be wealthy or I would be comfortable in my lifestyle and my quality of life, but I will never be the warrior lawyer again. That is very difficult for me to wrap my head around. And for this guy to do it, understanding what was at stake, but still believing that he could actually still play football, and now the clock has run out on him. I mean, there's got to be a void that he feels in his life, but at the same time, he's changed the lives of millions of people. So I really have a lot of respect and admiration for him. I would love to meet him one day.
Mr.
Colin Kaepernick.
Would you like to meet him?
Absolutely. I would love to meet that man one day. And he's younger than I am, but I would love to meet him one day.
Well, we have to make that happen.
Yeah, if anybody knows him, yeah, I would love to meet him.
Mm-hmm. That's not difficult. 6 degrees of separation.
I understand. We probably know somebody who know him, you know what I mean? But I haven't met him.
We got to make that happen. Yeah. We got to make that happen before Christmas. I wanted to ask you, in the 26 years of you being a lawyer, do you think America has evolved for the better?
America is a very immature, childlike country. And it's immature for two reasons. One, because it's very young. It's still a very young country. But two, because of the behaviors that have been allowed to be tolerated and to prevail in this country is costing our country. The racism has held back a lot of geniuses, a lot of doctors, lawyers, scientists, and created people who kind of dwell on the bottom. But these are great minds that we are wasting. We're wasting a lot of human capital on racism just because one faction does not want to compete with another. And this is supposed to be a world of capitalism, but it's not. It's a world of racism. You put all of us on the same equal footing. Let us start the race at the same time and watch your whole country and society elevate. But there's just this belief that, you know, people will destroy an entire country in order to maintain these systems and institutions of racism. You've seen it down there at the Capitol. People and without elected officials, they are willing to allow this country to go into the basket as opposed to doing what's right so everyone can contribute in a positive way and make this country better. So racism has definitely kept us in a state of regression because there are geniuses untold and uncovered or who've been buried because of it. And I think it's time that we need to stand up for our country. And it's expensive. Racism costs our country because no one is reaching their full potential and raising wealth for their family when these impediments are in place. In fact, people who are used to the consumerist nature of African Americans really can't benefit because they're being held back from making money. African Americans can't benefit because they're held back from making money. So, if you even the playing field, I think that this would be a much more sophisticated, intelligent, and utopian society. But the powers that be would rather us be ignorant, unintelligent, and a myopic society. So there you go.
You think this racism is rooted in the fear that in time this country is becoming blacker, browner?
I think you can say that, but I think it's more in fear of the fact that if they had an occasion or if they were required to compete equally and competitively against other groups, they wouldn't prevail as well. But I think that iron sharpens iron. Put everybody together, you're going to come out with some great results if you do things the right way and do it fairly. But with racism in place, we are holding ourselves back as a country, and it's costing us in all different types of ways. It costs us dearly, and all because they don't want to compete. And that's how I see it. I see it as Caucasians or those, white folks in power don't want to compete, don't want to have their children to compete. Why? When you have a 400-year head start. So why is there a problem with, fair and equal competition? And I think that even with the 400-year head start, I don't think they can compete with us. And we've seen this on many occasions where we managed to excel under the most oppressive circumstances. We always find a way to the top. They haven't had those types of challenges to be able to claim that type of nobility. So I just feel like what we've been going through, and if we had an opportunity to compete fairly, I think that society would be a better place. But everybody's standards or work ethics would rise to a higher level.
There's a saying of beggars sitting on bags of gold. I wanted to get your thoughts on Baltimore. We have a Black mayor, Black city council president, Black comptroller, Black state's attorney. We've probably got one of the highest percentages of Black elected officials in the country. Yet, when we look at East and West Baltimore, where Black people dominate, it's ugly.
Mm-hmm.
Any thoughts on Baltimore?
Baltimore is a treasure trove of capital of all kinds, human capital. There are some very smart people in this city. There are some very resourceful people in this city. But again, there are oppressive circumstances that don't allow us to reach our full potential. You can't tell me that the children of Baltimore cannot achieve if they had the proper resources poured into them. They're no different than anyone else's children. But when they're not being educated like they should, when there's a lack of knowledge of self and a real understanding of what you're capable of, because no one's ever pushed you or challenged you to be the best, then we end up, like you say, beggars sitting on a pot of gold. But Baltimore has a port. Baltimore has, all kinds of remarkable attributes that make for a economic stronghold for the entire state of Maryland. But we have to realize that, and you have to include everybody in it. Not just one set of folks. You got to include everybody. So I hope that we'll get it right. Baltimore is sick right now, and it's our responsibility to nurse her back to health, because when she becomes strong, she will become a force to deal with, not just in the state of Maryland, but in the country and perhaps even the world.
Powerful statement. America makes up 5% of the world's population, Jay, yet we have 25% of the world's inmates. And as you well know, as a lawyer, slavery is abolished, except in the in the instance of criminality.
Yeah, I
Any
mean,
thoughts on mass incarceration, where Black people comprise some 44% of America's prisons?
so what now? Any thoughts on it?
Yes.
Yeah, it's the judges. It's the judges, and I can go through anecdotal uh, evidence that I've just accumulated just in the course of my practice, where I've seen judges they're not even ashamed of it because nobody criticizes them, and they do what they do in the dark because nobody's really watching or telling. But I've seen judges who have released a gentleman, a white dude, who shot this guy in the neck from outside was walking down the street, just shot him in the neck. I seen the judge release that guy from the jail. I've seen the judge release this other guy, and this is just recently. And these are just stories that I just collected just recently. Committed an arson or attempted arson of his girlfriend's house. Let that guy out on his own recognizance. I had a guy who merely had a handgun. Not a violent crime. He was just in possession of a handgun, and he would not let that guy out on bail. But he let these other cats out. One who not only had a handgun, but used it, shot somebody in the neck. That guy went home. Another guy who committed attempted arson, violent crime, he went home. My guy, possession of a handgun, no violence, he had to stay. Said he was a public safety risk. So, I understand why these numbers are the way they are. And we need to start focusing on judges. Judges get a pass all the time. I say this all the time. We want to blame the state's attorney and blame the police as to why certain criminals are back out on the street after certain things happen, or as to why, we have this, we're not doing enough. But these judges, they are the ones who make the final decision as to who gets what, who goes home, who stays in the community. And I think they need to be brought into scrutiny, just like every other faction of the criminal justice system. And until you bring them to bear and respond to, questions as to why certain things are happening within the criminal justice system, you're not even scratching the surface of the problem. So I'm not in Maryland. I'm not even just talking about white judges, because we got a nice cadre of African American judges, but once they get into those positions, you can't tell the difference. Yep, I said it. I stand by it, and that's throughout the state of Maryland. It ain't just Baltimore City.
Black judges who have forgotten
absolutely
their people.
Absolutely.
The last time you were on, I think we had Judge Leonia Lloyd on from Detroit.
That's right.
And she seemed to be, I take her to be a very caring judge.
Yeah,
firm.
I'm not saying that they're not one or two in the bunch, but if Maryland incarcerates more African American males than any other state in the country, and what kind of judges we got, what our benches look like, you can't blame that all on white judges. You can't do it. As much as you might want to. I'm talking about the country. I'm talking about Mississippi. I'm talking about South Carolina, Louisiana, Georgia. We incarcerate more African American men than all of those countries. All those states. So you can't tell me that it's just white judges, because we got a lot. We got a decent share. I ain't saying it's a lot, but in terms, I think we're getting close to the same amount of judges that reflect the population of our state, which is about 30%.
So there's some type of classism within the Black race.
Judges, they're afraid their name is going to be in the paper, so they rule with an iron fist and heavy hand. All judges are afraid that their names are going to be in the paper, and that informs their decisions on what to do. However, they're not as afraid when it's a white person. They're willing to take a risk on releasing a white person that far easier than it is when it comes to releasing a Black person charged with a lesser offense.
So they're Black white supremacists.
There are people in place that I hate the word white supremacists, that maintain institutions of bigotry in this state.
Okay, take me to Baltimore County. Recently, a decision was made with regard to Korryn Gaines. It was August 1st, 2016.
Yes, August 1st, when she was shot and killed by Royce Ruby of the Baltimore County Police Department. And
in front of her son.
In front of his shot and injured. In fact, he had blood spatter on him, her blood, and he also got shot in the face and had part of his arm blown off. In fact, where there's a rally going on at 11 o'clock. That's why I really can't stay long today in front of Towson, in front of the county office building in Patriot Plaza, to seek justice for Korryn Gaines, who's the son now. He's the focus of attention because they settled Korryn Gaines, and that came as a result of, and thanks to the community that embraced my call to help, my plea for help, because I knew at the rate things were going, justice was going to elude us. So I knew that it wasn't coming from the courtroom, it was going to come from the streets. So I enlisted everybody I know, including you, and thank you for everything you've done for me, even if it's just posting whatever. I appreciate it. And I got, I spoke to Larry Young, who's a host of the Larry Young Morning Show here in Baltimore City. And we just put together a badass team who put pressure on Johnny O, and hopefully it wasn't the pressure. Hopefully it was something within his heart that caused him to have an about face, because initially he wasn't going to do SHI crap about this situation. But the pressure came, pressure burst pipes, and his attorney published. But I need a writer, Rondi. I need a writer. I'm working on a book. It's called, I got a book on one of my cases. But yeah, we put pressure on Johnny O.
You can't tell the name till you copyright.
And so he was persuaded to change his mind, change his position on settling the case for the number that I thought it was our lowest number, but I thought it fairly took into consideration not salary caps, the statutory caps that we were concerned about, which created a great challenge for us, and to recognize the humanity of Korryn Gaines and what her life meant to our community. So as it was, if the caps were imposed and the judge was going to be as generous to us as he possibly could under the law, the most we could have recovered was 1.1 million. We ended up settling the case for 3 million. So that took into account not just the statutory caps, but also the humanity of in the life and the dignity for the life that was lost. And I think he understood that when it was all said and done. Took some persuading, but he came around. And for that, I am thankful to him for that. But now he's got to do more. You got to finish working on this entire case and settle it completely, not just for one. But the child needs money too, because the child is really, really injured.
Any final thoughts? We don't want to hold you from the 11 o'clock rally, but thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. So the rally's at 11 o'clock, Patriot Plaza, Towson, Maryland. Come on out, 21204. Come on out if you can. We're just going to continue to put this pressure on the county executive, because, again, justice is not going to come from the courtroom. I mean, we were in front of Judge Mickey Norman during the trial. We won. He took our verdict a year later, almost to the date of the verdict, and he's been trying to either upend the case or make soup of it ever since. So it was important to get out of his courtroom. He's already retired, so he's got nothing to lose. He retired last August, and they let him remain on the case. We tried to have him recuse himself. He refused to recuse himself. And so we just had to get out of his courtroom. If we wanted any semblance of justice, it wasn't coming from that court. So we took the fight to the streets, and that's what we learned. What I learned definitely is that when you have situations like that, we can no longer litigate in the dark and hope that the system will do what it's supposed to, because you got many people in place as gatekeepers to prevent African Americans from achieving what they're entitled to, what a jury has said that they were entitled to. And so we take it to the streets, and when we have it, when we have situations like this and we can't do it on our own, we're winning, but we're still there, keep moving the goalposts. We got to take it to the streets. And I tell you what, we've been fighting this battle for 5 years. Within 90 days after taking it to the streets, this case is settled. My case got settled in 90 days.
That's why they call you the warrior lawyer.
Yeah, because you can't continue to do the same thing expecting a different result. So we litigating, winning, and still not coming up with goose eggs. We're winning, but we're still not getting what we're fighting for. I got the community involved. Within 30 to 90 days, this case is over. Now I'm helping my colleague get his case to some type of resolution. And that's the beauty of us. We are all we need. And that's really the lesson. We got everybody in place that we need. We just need to call on them and use them.
Jay Wendell, the sound is messed up, but we thank you for. Oh, there you go.
My sound?
Yeah, it's kind of froze up. But you go on, and we'll see you later on today. But thank you for joining us this morning. Drive safely.
All right, thanks for having me.
Good deal. That was Jay Wyndal Gordon. We call him the Warrior Lawyer. We're really proud of Jay Wyndal Gordon, and he made some. He reminded us that we have to fight. You have to fight in this world. You're a black man in America. We make up, 13% of the population. You got to fight. That's what this book is about. I Am Black Wall Street, forward by Billy Murphy. It was about the fight. It was about the story behind the story. Those people in Oklahoma, those black people that built Tulsa, that was destroyed in 1921. I think Tulsa became legal. Oklahoma became legal about 1906. But those black people that went out there, they were fighters. And again, I say, I've heard people of the younger generation say, I'm not my grandfather's generation. You don't know your grandfather's generation. Your grandfather's generation were not only fighters, they were gladiators who fought against all odds and achieved what others didn't. As Jay alluded, mainstream America, white America has had a 400-year head start on us. Yet we still have we still have some of the brightest scientists, doctors, lawyers, teachers, any discipline that black people get into. We find a way to dominate. And maybe, that's just who we are. I'm reminded that they didn't bring gutter. They didn't bring the bottom over here. They didn't bring the least of the least over here to America, those who came on slave ships. They brought the best and the brightest, engineers, scientists, doctors. Hello, Michelle. Great news update. Alexis Coates, my dear friend, another dear friend. That's a great chapter title for his book, We Are All We Need. Rondi, let me tell you, you can't be putting the title of your book out there without copywriting it. And those are the ideas, Rondi, you tell them in private. Well, what God has for you is for you. As it relates to this book, again, I want to tell you the two heroes in this book. One is Chief John Horse of the Black Seminoles down in Florida, and also a white man named John Brown, Captain John Brown. And I absolutely adore Captain John Brown, a white man who died fighting for black people, fighting to end slavery. Edmund Burke said, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. And what's so remarkable about Captain John Brown is that he didn't sit on the sideline. Now, I'm not saying that I want white people to come out here and die for black people. It's not at all what I'm saying. But I am saying that those who are silent, who watch the madness go down and don't use their position of power, however big or small, to make life better for everybody, then shame on you. And to those racists out there, and I'm a little bruised. It was January of 2020. Facebook took my page of 211,000 followers, and they insinuated that I am a racist. I'm not a racist. I know white people. I have white friends who have been in my house, who I've had dinner with, shared with. I've picked them up. They've picked me up. I'm by far a racist. My mom's could pass for white. My dad was very chocolate. I love people. I love good people. There's some black people I would push in the harbor. There's some white people I would push in the harbor. Yes, I would. Well, not really, because that's a criminal offense, but you catch my drift. I believe in love. And love, you never know where love. You never know where your angel might come from. You never know who might save your life. But Donald Trump, he's a racist. And he gets his page back in 2 years. He's a racist. Not only is he a racist, he's a dumb racist who caused an insurrection, the overthrow of this country. Now, I do allude to the Confederacy in this book, and don't go deep into it, but in researching that book, I Am Black Wall Street, and Reconstruction and the Civil War, the nerve of some people. Some people are just ungrateful, and that's something I do hate. I hate ungrateful people. I hate ungrateful. My mother told me, she said, Donnie, you don't appreciate this. You know what I'm talking about? Told me that as a kid, teenager. And I've learned to appreciate anything that somebody does for me. You give me a glass of water, you let me over while I'm driving. What we don't understand as Americans is how myopic we can be, how narrow-minded we can be. It's all about us. It's all about self. No, it's not. Everybody got to eat. What's wrong with people? Everybody got to eat. Everybody under the sun. Just like everybody get the sun, everybody should get food. Everybody should get housing. These are basic human rights. And the audacity of some people to think that they deserve the privileges of America, the benefits of America, and somebody else doesn't. And we don't even have to be in America. We could be in South America. I'll tell you something about South America I don't understand. You got all the cocaine in the world, but people from South America and Central America are fleeing to the United States. Okay, you're a drug dealer. Okay, well, use that money to help your people. Selfishness. I don't understand that. You got all of the money in the world. You got cartels. You go around killing people, putting people, chopping their heads off and all of that. But do you do anything positive, constructive with your money? Why do we have refugees in the year 2021? Why do we have slavery in North Africa? I ain't forgot what was going on in Libya. I saw them black people being enslaved in North Africa. Who does that? What type of the trafficking? God bless the soul of Dr. Patricia Newton. She was very adamant about spreading the word about trafficking, and having a daughter, it's particularly on my mind. Who does that? Who sells another human being? We live in a sick world. And that's why you need fighters, you need warriors who will stand up for righteousness for anybody. I don't want to see anybody oppressed. I don't want to see anybody with a foot on their neck by another human being just because they can. Because karma is real. I know a drug dealer from long ago, and that drug dealer, he was very popular back in the day. But I saw karma revisit him. It was all gravy. It was all good at one point. But then karma's coming back around. Karma's coming back around for all of us if we choose to do wrong. We're stingy. We don't want to help anybody. We're consumed with race, particularly in America. I know I'm rambling, but I guess we have to work as if it's up to us and pray as if it's up to God. But as my daddy said, we can do better than this. America can do better. Mass incarceration breaks my heart. I live in Sandtown. And unfortunately, too many men have prison stories. I don't have a prison story. Locked up a couple of days once. Ain't like I ain't never seen the bookings, but that ain't my story. But where I live at, I listen to those conversations that I can never really be a part of because I don't have a prison story. But I watch grown black men talk about Hagerstown and Jessup and the penitentiary, Patuxent, diagnostic. We're so much more than that, but America has consolidated and framed our story. Every time the news comes on, they further impress upon us that the black man is no more than a criminal. And nothing could be further from the truth. Like Jay Wyndal said, all we need is an opportunity. And sadly, in neighborhoods like mine, too many young people don't see a positive role model. They see the drug man, they see the dope man making money, and he can have whatever girl he wants, buy whatever car he wants, live in whatever house he wants. But as we know, those of us with wisdom, that is short-lived. You're either gonna make it to that penitentiary or the graveyard, or you gotta stop. I'm watching people sell dope in front of the police. Penn North Avenue Market, I'm watching it. People selling dope right in front of the police in Baltimore City. So when they asked me about the consent decree, if I were mayor, I would shut the city down right away. Bumper consent decree. I would shut it down because it's off the hook. Period. End of story. It's insane. And the thing is, we're doing it to each other. And, you know, every now and then you see a post on Facebook where it says it's a white guy with a meme, and he's saying, they say Black Lives Matter, but they kill each other every weekend. So black people, we got some atoning to do too. We have some accountability too. I think part of it is the music. Not a lot of love music anymore. I grew up in the era of Marvin Gaye, Chaka Khan, Earth, Wind and Fire, Commodores, Maze, Frankie Beverly and Maze. I'm listening to the music today. I'm listening to the lyrics, and it's just kill, 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 kill. Bees, 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 bees. Ends, 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 ends. You know, where is the creativity? You know, where's the love music? Where's the love? We done forgot about the love. And it's many times older folks' fault. But everybody gets a piece of everybody's to blame. Men who have done wrong by women, women who are doing wrong by men. We do wrong when we bring in the criminal justice system or the child support system into the fold. I don't need a white man, a white judge, a black judge to tell me how to take care of my child. Never did. I was raised by a man and a woman. I know my job. I do my job. But we live in America, and it's all about the Benjamins. It's not about the love for America. So I would just say this, be careful how you bring government into your relationships. I think about that man up on Alta Avenue, 6-hour standoff. I mentioned it yesterday, 6-hour standoff, 6-hour standoff. And the mental health professional couldn't get through. The mental health professional in 6 hours could not get through to this man. And this man, so when the family members called the police on this man, they gave him a death warrant. You already know what was going to happen. When you bring law enforcement to a mental health breakdown, a mental health meltdown, you essentially have given a death sentence. I don't know all of the particulars, but I know in 6 hours, somebody could have talked better to that man. I mean, my God. And when you're black, you ain't getting no second chance. You ain't getting no extra rope because the fix is already in. It's shameful. It's shameful. The man was having a mental health meltdown. Then 3 o'clock in the morning, he go ahead and bust that cap. Unreal. I think we can do better than this. I know we can. We got some of the most prestigious institutions in the world, black and white. Somebody could have reached that man. I've seen white life spared. People who have done worse. and they come out with handcuffs. They come out in handcuffs. The man should have known better than to point that gun and shoot towards police, no matter what condition he was in. Maybe he wanted to go. Maybe it was suicide. I just think we can do better than this. Well, so many things to deal with. We're just going to keep the faith, work like it's up to us, pray like it's up to God. We're going to go now over to the field over on William Penderhughes to finish the cleanup that we started last Thursday. Dave Lovelace is here. Let me read some of these comments. When we speak it, they silence us. That's from Chef Keita. Where can we see your itinerary? Where would you be to have a conversation? I'm not sure your question, but my number is 443-858-2684. 443-858-2684. Moving marquee on bottom is winner. Okay, thank you, Rondi. Consumed and healed and not healed too. Yes. It's from Andy. Andy's over in Hungary. Yes, I remember reading your sentences in your book about listening to and sharing music about love. People need love nowadays. Maybe they will be happier listening lyrics of the love songs. You want your people to feel better. It's amazing. Yeah. So I will share this poem with you because we adults, we have a responsibility to these young people. As challenging as it might be, living here in Sandtown, I see a lot of young people on a daily basis doing things I wish they weren't doing. I wish they were engaged in programs like we used to have over at the Sandtown Winchester Community Center, which is now a homeless shelter. But we used to have Youth Build over there. We used to have AmeriCorps. We had the Vista program. We had so many things to engage young people who would otherwise be engaged in criminal activities. I know that there's hope for our communities, but the challenge too often is you have Black people who are in position to help create opportunities for those at the bottom of the ship, but they don't. They don't create these things. They say they do. It looks nice on paper. They do press conferences. They do press releases. But communities like Sandtown are absolutely overlooked, stigmatized from the top to the bottom. I heard a man say it like this once, that the people at the top of the ship are not talking to the people at the bottom of the ship. And the people at the bottom of the ship are not talking to the people at the top of the ship. There's what they say in Cool Hand, is it Cool Hand Luke? What we have here is a failure to communicate. We're not communicating with each other. People, the upwardly mobile Black people figure people at the bottom have no common sense, don't know what's going on, and vice versa. Don't forget where you come from. To whom much is given, much is required. We all have a responsibility to make Baltimore better. Now, I'm not a fan of dirt bikes. At the same time, after all this time, create an opportunity for the people in dirt bikes. Create a park like Power Fest Baltimore. And those are the people that are over there helping us with the field. Power Fest Baltimore. They are all about creating an opportunity for young people to put that whole dirt bike thing and cars in a constructive position outside of the city, to my understanding. You watch the kids on the dirt bike, so much talent. So much talent. Power Fest Baltimore is about helping those young people, those dirt bike riders and car drivers, go professional, because that is very much a possibility. If we knew better, we'd do better. But it's going to take all of us pulling together, especially with this COVID coming up and kids about to go back to school. It takes an entire village. So everybody has got to fall back a little bit, relax a little bit, heal. And then we got to start, being kind to each other. And we can start by using our manners. Excuse me, please, thank you, no thank you, you're welcome. My grandma said it like this: dining bar, your manners will take you far. We don't even use manners no more. Instead of saying excuse me, we say excuse me. I watch our young people ordering food. You don't crack slick on people that you're ordering your food from. You be very kind to them. Yes, be intentional. It's no need. Hey, look, I'm going to give you my rules. Real simple. Don't lie. Don't steal. Don't cheat. If you make a mistake, apologize. That's what grown people do. Tell you something else grown people do. When you see something that needs to be done, you do it. You don't need permission. You see somebody that's falling down, pick them up. You see somebody that's hungry, they need $1 or 50 cents, give them 50 cents. But take care of home first. Charity starts at home. What I don't like is black people to go out their way to help white people, and you only help your own people. White people expect you to help your own people first. We got to love each other, man. My mother loved me unconditionally. Yeah, I got my butt beat to make me a better person so I wouldn't do certain things. My mother and father saved my life. So I'm going to leave you with this poem. We read in the papers and hear on the air of killing and stealing and crime everywhere. We sigh and we say as we notice the trend. This younger generation, oh, where will it end? But can we be sure that it's their fault alone? Are we less guilty who place in their way so many things that lead them astray? Too much money, too much idle time, too many movies of passion and crime, too many books not fit to be read, too much evil in what they hear said, too many children encouraged to roam, and too many parents who won't stay at home. Kids don't write the movies, they don't write the books, they don't paint gay pictures of gangsters and crooks. They don't make the liquor, they don't make the laws, they don't make the cars, and they don't make the bars. They don't make the drugs that muddle the brain. It's all done by older folk, greedy for gain. Delinquent teenagers, oh, how we condemn the sins of the nation. We blame on them. By the laws of the blameless, the Savior made known. Who is there amongst you to cast the first stone? For in so many cases, it's sad, but it's true. The title delinquent fits older folk too. It's going to be 100 degrees today, folks. Drink plenty of water. Stay out the sun. I'm going to go ahead and get some work in, but I'm going to get out that sun. I'm telling you, I don't play with that sun. Be safe out here. Love you, and I will see you. We have a show from Oakland tonight. Doug Blackshear with the Magnolia Engineering, live from Oakland at 7 p.m. Tomorrow night, we have Kamal Hubbard with Bitcoin at 7 p.m. Thank you for joining us, everyone, and stay safe. Stay out the sun. Voodoo man says stay out the sun there.